Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to overlook the Lukso protocol. If you're new to my channel, please check out the video how this channel works. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right into it. So this is an overview of the project's health. You can see that they have some distribution issues. I would say governance is maybe should have been yellow, but most of it's laid out pretty well, and also they have a very strong CEO. So I said that the governance is good, green. And everything else you can see is pretty strong, and the project is flying under the radar. Project hasn't launched yet. That's obviously a negative. But yeah, it's pretty strong project. So bottom line, I do expect it to perform, and I'll read these pros and cons summary when I'm done with the project. But I'm going to do a basic summary right now of what the project actually does, which is nothing. What problem does it actually solve? Nothing, because it's not live. But what problem will this project solve in the future? So this is their actual goals, mission statement. Dedicated to lifestyle industries to bring together industry players, consumers, creators, developers, and investors to build and run use cases by leveraging a common blockchain infrastructure. So it's very important to get this common blockchain infrastructure idea. And when I read through a lot of their documents, they talk about how they know that in the future there's going to be many blockchains, and they're going to connect to something like, let's say, Polkadot. And these blockchains are all going to specialize in their particular industries. And they will intercommunicate through, something like Polkadot. And they don't have to be parachains. They can use bridges, which this project is going to be its own blockchain. And it could bridge into Polkadot or other systems like Ethereum. It could bridge into Ethereum. And so they understand that interoperability and the importance of it. So they're going, if you read a lot of business books, you know that going for a specific niche is a very good idea. And that's what they're doing. They're going for a specific niche. So it's basically a common blockchain for digital and physical goods. But as you can read here, lifestyles, fashion, those things, they're kind of going in that direction, consumer goods, etc. Like they partnered with Nike and things like that. So, that'll give you an idea of where they're going. Obviously, we don't know everything because this project is still relatively recently announced. It was, mostly came out of the shadows in January or December of last year. So it hasn't been around for too long. And we're really not seeing their full strategy until they launch their blockchain. And I'm sure you'll see this project. You will see. I can almost guarantee it. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed in life, but I can almost guarantee that there will be major things coming from this project. And we'll get into why that is the case. So they talk about universal public profiles, digital identities and certificates, tokenized communities. Doing non-fungible tokens like trading gamer assets, etc., things like that. They do mention virtual realities a lot. So yes, I would say to answer the question, what problem or is this market going to be valuable? I would say yes. So what problem does it solve? What market does it solve? It goes for consumer and digital goods, VR, things like that. Absolutely, there's plenty of room for that. And that's going to be a very big thing going forward. We are becoming more digital as we go forward. So does the team have a track record showing that they could deliver? The CEO is the reason I invested in this project, to be honest with you. That's like the bottom line. Having a strong CEO. I have many of my best performers come from strong CEOs, strong leadership. So I'm starting to recognize that as a pattern, that if you have a very strong CEO, it is a good probability that you will get good returns. So the CEO is a filter for whatever talent comes to that project. So yeah, that's a good enough reason. So mission critical components, does the token use for services, and do they have a lot of room for growth for the market? And the answer to that is yes. So I'm going to jump right into it. I do expect this price performance to perform over time. I do expect a future increase in demand for the token. So as far as the current niche, it doesn't have one because it's not live. So obviously, if it's not live, it can't have a niche really. So Token used for services. It's a proof of stake chain. It gives block rewards to validators. The LYX token gives rewards to validators. It's used for security, transaction fees, voting for validators, and but you can vote for validators by pointing your stake at certain validators. So in essence, the token is also used for governance because it controls the validators, thus controlling the network. So the token is absolutely used for services used over the chain. The value of the target market is large, room for growth. Digital and physical goods and the systems that are used around that, that's like billions of dollars. And, this project is in a good position to offer services for those kind of things. So yeah, absolutely. So I do expect future market excitement from price momentum, even in the short term, because it hasn't really had that. Because current awareness is low for this project. It has not really had much of a hype stage. Yes, some people have talked about it, but for the most part, it's been under the radar. Oddly enough, the CEO has more followers than the project itself. 16.2 thousand people, 16,000 people following Fabian Vogsteller. He's the CEO, and he has quite a following on Twitter. The project only has 8,000 followers on Twitter. So, it's showing that this project is kind of under the radar. Chico Crypto talked about it in a couple of his videos. That's 40,000 people exposed, but, they were short and not too long clips, and, people can often miss things like that. The next big videos have about 8,000 views. So I'd still say, this project is absolutely under the radar. And, as well, I will point out this right here, which is saying that the token has very low liquidity. So one of the things happening with DEXs is, it's becoming easier to get projects, but if a project is early, a good sign, instead of like in the past when everything was centralized exchanges, if it was not on many exchanges, that was a good sign you were getting in early. But now, a good sign that you're getting in a project early is that it has low liquidity. That means there's not a lot of people paying attention to it. Does that mean you could sell right away? No, that's a risk factor. However, in my opinion, that's often a good, if there's talented people involved, a project has low liquidity and a low market cap, that is a very good sign, because that means you're early, and it is likely to deliver in the future because it has those talented people involved. So that's one of the reasons this is all green, because of that low liquidity. Okay, so before marketing campaign, I'd say yes, because they're not launched yet, so there hasn't been any real hype. So they haven't been going for that major element. Major upcoming events: they launched their own blockchain in spring of 2021. So spring of next year. That's probably about 6 months from now. So this is an excellent time to get into this project. The time of getting in a project before it starts producing massive gains for people is usually between 2 year and 6 month mark, and this one's right at that mark. And there's some other things that I'll show you why it's a good time to buy now. Money needed to move price up decreases. Yes, it'll take less effort to move the price up. I do think that's the case. Tokens on sell side to decrease. I think that's the case. Regarding inflation, to be determined, but they do say that the block rewards should not exceed 5%. So that's looking like they want the inflation to be relatively low. But yeah, all of this is to be determined when they actually launch their blockchain. So all this is subject to change. But that's why I put it as uncertain. So here's a red thing. There's only about 20% released, and the KuCoin hacker has about 3% of the total circulating supply, or 0.6% of the total supply. So he's got a decent amount of coins, and he is actively selling them right now on Uniswap. That's actually why I'm kind of wanting to buy it now, because he's pushing the price down lower than it would be naturally. So that you could see that as a negative thing, you could see it as a positive thing. This KuCoin hacker is going to try to get rid of all of his tokens before the main chain launches, because they're going to remove his tokens when the chain launches. So he's going to remove he's going to sell all his coins before the chain launches. So these coins will be released into circulation. And so, yeah, once again, the reason this is negative, 80% of the supply is still owned, is centralized by the team, still, or, in the contracts and stuff. Only 20% is really circulating, and that KuCoin hacker is creating some negative pressure. I actually see the KuCoin thing as a benefit, because you could get it cheaper than you would have normally. So, yeah, I will say, yes, it's in a bear market because it's being pushed down right now by the KuCoin hacker. It is still up, relatively speaking, but this thing is such a small microcap that at these levels, you can't really say bull or bear market because it's so tiny. It could fluctuate 100% with one decent-sized order. So there is no real market. It's just floating around with like hardly anyone being involved right at this point. So the market cap's between 10 and 20 million, based on that circulating supply. So it's really low. Total dilution, if this was completely diluted, is 66 million. And even that's pretty small compared to most projects. You could see that's between here. And that's for complete dilution of the project. So, yeah. The niche is not serving anyone right now. It's not live. So there's no real niche effect contributing to this. Like being live contributes to removing tokens from the sell side. Tokens to decrease per person, I do expect that to be the case. All right, so I'm going to jump into governance. Actually, I'll go into one of the strongest things about this, the CEO. So the CEO is Fabian Vogesteller. This is one of the strongest CEOs in the entire crypto industry. The reason for that is he's the guy, if you remember the 2017 bull market, the ERC 20 standard allowed for Ethereum to spawn many different projects. He's the guy who came up with the ERC 20 idea. He's the one who invented it. He's the author of the ERC20 component of Ethereum. He's the one who came up with the reverse ICO. He's the one who wrote the Web3.js JavaScript library, which has 125,000 downloads a week, and it's a major blockchain library that is used. He's kind of like the author of the ICO boom of 2017. Now, that is massive. That this is one hell of a resume. That's all I got to say. And this project being at between 10 and 20 million market cap. Please, oh my goodness, I can't believe that I even have the opportunity to get it at such a cheap ass price. So this is the reason I invested mostly. Having a strong CEO, I rated him at 9.8. The founder of Celsius is someone I would say is about a 10 for a CEO, because he's been a CEO before and he's founded multi-billion-dollar companies. This guy, he's got that talent, that capability, very smart guy. The only reason he's not a 10, in my opinion, is because I can't find much of a record of him starting multi-billion-dollar companies in the past, from zero to billionaire, but I'm sure, hey, this project's probably going to be his first. So it's a very bullish thing when the founder is someone like this and they're in control of the project, because they help it have the project have a long-term vision and strategy. So those that think long-term and strategy have control of the network, the CEO isn't currently in control. Because it's using a proof of, all right, so let's get into governance. So they're using a proof of authority right now, and they're moving to DPoS when they're launched. Vote is via point stake at chosen validators, proof of stake chain. So having tokens gives you control over the direction of the chain. So yeah, it's very important that the token controls the project through the validators. That means the token represents ownership of this protocol. So I put this as to be determined. Those who bought in or vote are in control, because in the future it depends on whether it's on DEXs or on centralized exchanges. In my opinion, centralized exchanges are looking more and more like poison, and as soon as we can get rid of centralized exchanges, the better, because of things like KuCoin hack, because they're always hacked and it's ridiculous. I'm sick of hacks, happening all the time. We need to move to a completely decentralized exchange model. And if we do move to a decentralized exchange model, things like this will not be a big issue in the future. I may even remove this component. But for now, this project, we'll see where it's going to run on its own blockchain. So it'll be on something like Polkastarter, which is it'll be something like Uniswap for all the different blockchains. And if that's the case, if that happens, then you won't have to worry about exchanges voting with user funds. And protection from custodial events, so it's a very to be determined thing in the future. And this right here, not relevant because it's not part of the project. High value people control this project. I would say that's the case. So, when you have high value people, it contributes to everything. And that's why that's a very important thing for a project to have high value people in control of it. So evidence of ability to solve difficult problems, absolutely, because of that CEO, and he'll be a good filter. Also, you have members from the Singularity University. That's actually kind of cool because Singularity University is a university that talks about exponential technologies. They are very forward-thinking. There's many billionaires that go to that school or to that university and talk about futuristic things and where the trends of technology are really going. So yeah, I'd say they got a pretty cool idea, pretty cool people who are talented. I looked at their backgrounds and stuff. Okay, so the current developer team strong, and the CEO is strong, and so it leads to strategic partners being strong in the future, long-term vision. So you have advisors. I don't know the extent of the advisors' role in the future of the project, but they have the Nike vice president, Chanel's the CEO of the Dutch Bank, Grid Singularity co-founder. To see the full list, check out my sources. So they got some really good partners. They'll probably get more of those in the future as well, as this project launches. Best option of the competition, I'd say that they're going to be in fashion, NFTs. I would say that yes, they are going to be the best option, especially because of that CEO. All right, developer compensation. 5% of the token supply sale is going to go to developer compensation. So developers will be compensated, and developer motivation will probably be fulfilled. Also, the token is in control of the chain through the validators, and the validators will be closely related to developers. So I likely see funding not being an issue in the future. But obviously we'll come back to this when the chain launches, and we can reevaluate all this when that happens. Their mission statement is clear, and it's mentioned in the earlier summary of this video, which is this: dedicated lifestyle industries, as I mentioned earlier. Long-term vision and strategy is going to lead to high-value upgrades, and high-value upgrades lead to value of the services provided increasing, which leads to more people using the project and businesses using the project. So if developers are motivated and if high-value upgrades are happening, you're going to get value, services of values increasing, and that's going to lead to more people using the project in the future. I can almost say that's a guarantee. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed. So yes, I think businesses will end up using this project and buying the token. Businesses will buy the token in the future for their needs. I definitely can see that. Okay, so this is not important right now because it's not live. Difficulty of internal transfer. Actually, so internal transfer these are some new elements. If you're used to my channel, I've added some new things that I've noticed because I've been reviewing some of my performers from my portfolio and some of the commonalities. So if you're a first mover, you don't have to think about internal transfer, but if you are not a first mover, then you need to make internal transfer easy. That's all I'm really saying here. So yeah, they are a kind of like a first mover, but you know, I'm not going to make that as a declarative until I see their blockchain running and see if they capture a community right out the gate. But I do think they're in a good position to do that. So future marketing plans, yes, they're going to have future marketing. I did look at their marketing crew, and they're well positioned. They're going to go, you know, why would you market something when it's not ready? So they're not marketing right now, and I think that having a strong team is going to mean that their marketing plans will be strong as well. And they do have a strong marketing team. Internal transfer catalyst. So this is a motivation for people to make the move into your system. Like, once again, like how difficult it is, or you know, are they, if you're a first mover advantage, do you really capture it? I think I would consider them first mover. These two things are similar, but not quite, but they feed together. And I just put yellow because they're not live yet. So that's when I'm going to rejudge like how well they are at capturing community, and if they are the first mover to capture a lot of this NFT space that's coming. Project is easy to use. You know, once again, not relevant. They're not live. More people using the project. Oh yeah, that contributes to this, which contributes to this. Yeah, if there's more people using the project and the tokens tied to the success, it will lead to more buying. More people using the project, leading to the person's tokens per person to decline. All right, so let me get this last section here. So the project will have a lot of buy and sell. So this is also a new thing I've added since the last one of my videos. So because of DEXs, it's important that you have that community. And even if a project is something like Energy Web, where the token is not used at all, except for just paying fees, and you know, so there's gonna be like a lot of, I don't expect it to have a huge market cap, but it still could be a good revenue producer because it could have a lot of buy and sell activity on the DEXs, and that could pull tokens into the liquidity pool and be a good source of income. So that's another angle to take away from projects, is if they have a community, they're going to have a lot of volume on DEXs, and that's a good place to park your funds for income. Because people constantly buying and selling, and you could be a liquidity provider, and you could benefit from that community as a higher source of income. And the project is currently on a high volume DEX, which is Uniswap. But when it launches its own chain, we'll have to reevaluate that in spring of next year. The project will have a lot of buy and sell activity in the future. I would say absolutely, because the nature of that CEO and their position. So I do expect tokens to be pulled into the liquidity pool. But remember, in the short term, there is this KuCoin hacker, and I'll get into that. Okay, so fees on the burn. There is no fee burn model. So basic summary of the pros and cons of this project. The CEO is one of the strongest in the space. The partnerships look really strong. Non-fungibles are not really understood. So it's an early market. Not a lot of people really understand it. It's a very, very low market cap. It's under the radar, and it has something called this reverse ICO. A reverse ICO is this. It's where when you lock up your tokens along this line, and as time goes by, you end up buying more of the project. This is a very excellent model because it shows that they remain dedicated to the project, and you're buying more and more into the project as time goes by. It keeps them. And if you could pull away your Ethereum here, you could pull away your Ethereum here, you could pull away your Ethereum here, and it would be in this ratio. Like this looks like 1/3 to 2/3, and you'd already be paid out this component of your Luxo, and you would have 1/3 of your Ethereum you could pull out if you didn't want to remain part of that reverse ICO. So it's like an ongoing ICO, and it kind of it allows for that them to keep proving their value to the people involved in the ICO. So I think it's an excellent ICO model. One thing I would say is, like, during ICOs like this where you have a slow release, the best point to enter is about halfway. However, because of this hacker, I would say that kind of pushes it back a little. Like, the best point to enter is probably a little bit in the future, probably around November. But I did enter in now. I entered in as a liquidity provider because I want to capture this. If he causes it to go down, which he is, then I could pull my money out of liquidity and buy up whatever, because he's going to create an artificially low price, and that's my goal, is to try to capture some of that artificially low price. When I say a liquidity provider, I'm on the sidelines. I put a very small amount in the liquidity provider, but I have more Ethereum sitting on the side, ready to buy, hopefully, if it gets knocked down. So that is a reverse ICO. The cons of this project, the summary, is that the KuCoin hacker is creating sell pressure. There's many to be determined things about inflation and governance and how it'll exactly look. But, for the most part, that's understood. And it's not live, and the dilution is well concentrated, so it's not very well diluted. And that's a basic overview. I do expect this project to perform. It's has a very excellent CEO, and it's going for a very large market, and it's got a very good idea for what they're doing. So yes, I did invest a small amount into this, and I may even invest a decent size in this project if I learn more information about when they actually launch, and if it remains under the radar.